What is going on, FA Nation? Johnny Pembe here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook live show. We are Monday, Cinco de Mayo, 8-game main slate over on DraftKings Grande. How we doing, man?
Oh, we are great, John. There is baseball aplenty. There is the second round of the NBA playoffs. I don't know if you knew this. Boston Celtics are playing tonight.
Yeah, I was slightly aware.
You're wearing the Knicks colors, so I figured I'd give you a heads up to maybe support.
This is the Knicks colors?
They wear blue.
They're not this blue.
Yeah, absolutely that blue.
Nah.
Yeah. So basketball, baseball. I mean, just what a time to be alive in the sports calendar.
Hockey exists. You're just going to ignore hockey?
Absolutely going to ignore hockey.
Had like one of the greatest playoff moments last night with the Winnipeg Jets scoring a goal to go to overtime with 1.6 seconds left.
That's pretty cool
in the period, cool. And then they went on to win in overtime. So almost
was it a game seven?
By the way,
game seven. Okay,
game seven. Goalie pulled 1.6 seconds. They tie the game.
That's insane.
In front of the home crowd too. Place was exploding.
Is that the latest ever game tying goal in the history of?
I can't imagine. No, I'm sure there was
probably point zero on the clock or something. Yeah. Well, either way, that's crazy. But I am ignoring it largely. But that's
shot 31 under.
Yeah, you told me that's. Hey, look, the sports calendar is great, and you know what? It's great because football's not on.
So Nickel lost.
That's all good stuff. Honestly, all great stuff.
So it is great stuff. But we're here to talk about some baseball. So we appreciate all of you tuning in. It is Cinco de Mayo. Let us know how you guys are celebrating. And let's break it down. We got a little rain we got to worry about here.
Oh yeah,
that we're also watching up and down the East Coast. I live in Boston, obviously. We got some rain around here. The Padres Yankees game, dealing with some potential wet weather for this one here. So I guess we'll have to see how that one plays out because Carlos Rodon is up here in terms of price. He's also one of the top 3 rostered pitchers on this main slate. So we do go position by position. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in with us here. We build a lineup at the end of the show. If you guys are new, you can just do us a favor and hit that like, that share, and subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Free way to support the work we do here each and every day for you guys. Grande, your top pitcher for today is Cole Ragans. To no surprise, he's the top rostered pitcher as well in this matchup against the Chicago White Sox. Pivetta and Rodon round out your top 3 guys, up over $9,000. Rodon's hanging around 20% ownership. Ragans closer to 40. Thoughts here, spending up a pitcher today?
Yeah, I just saw the comment from Anthony, and I was going to also comment. There, about an hour ago, Roth had said he's more confident in the Yankees-Padres game. So that's a good sign, but obviously still about 2 hours before lock. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, Ragans looks great. The strikeouts are great. Obviously, he dealt with an injury last time out. It's not something that we're overly concerned with, but yeah, I have no issues going there with chalk. I think there's a lot of ways to get to a differentiation in terms of SP2. Cam the Man obviously hit on something that I'm gonna go to, but we talked about this last night on the show, or on the pre-show, about Carlos Rodon, Nick Pivetta specifically, because we were just talking about like ways to differentiate if we didn't want to go to Ragans, or if we wanted to double spend, because there's not cores on this slate. There's some cheaper offenses like the Royals specifically that you can play if you wanted to double spend, as my light is just constantly, I feel like I'm in a club right now because it's just flickering. I don't
see anything going on.
Okay. Well, I can't not comment on it. Okay. Just in case. Sorry to all those that see it too. The Rodon thing is interesting because we were expecting Jackson Merrill to return. He is not. They expect him to return tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's not in the lineup.
I did kind of comment on that. I said having him come back versus a lefty, which again, it doesn't really matter for Jackson.
It's the rain, apparently. Yeah. They don't want him to come back in the weather. So like they're going to wait another day. because Jackson Merrill's like 100th percentile against every split. Imagine.
Yeah, I said it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah. What prevails? The low strikeout rate of the Padres. They're kind of a middling to subpar offense against lefties, or Carlos Rodon's elite ability to miss bats at times, right? He obviously, there's two ends of Carlos Rodon, the really, really good one, where like he can just strike anyone out, or the one that can't throw strikes and gives up home runs. Because you also could get the combination of them in one game where he walks a bunch of people, he strikes out a bunch of people, and gives up a couple home runs. Obviously, the ballpark is really conducive to home runs, and that's not a great thing for a pitcher that allows home runs.
Yeah.
But I get why, people would go Reagan's Rodon, because there are cheap offenses, and on DraftKings, strikeouts are the top billing in terms of priority for your starting pitching.
Yeah. I took some bets around the Rodon over 2.5 walks today.
It's a good one.
Padres 10.7% walk rate against left-handed pitching. We know Rodon and his walk struggles. So you got a patient team with a pitcher that kind of nibbles at times. So I took the over 2.5 walks today for Rodon. But again, he's getting 20%.
Yep.
Cam the Man, as I mentioned in the chat, it's Matthew Boyd that is your second highest rostered starting pitcher today. After Cole Reagans, everybody's just going with the lefties. They have the Giants here, and we talked about it, right? And I think we kind of surprised ourselves a little bit on the preview show when we were talking about it, because historically speaking, in years past, the Giants fed a lot of guys that do hit left-handed pitching pretty well. As it stands right now, their offense is kind of middling. Those guys aren't really hammering them the way they used to. And now you look at the Giants here, almost a 25% strikeout rate, a 220 batting average, a 149 ISO, and just a 291 WOBA against left-handed pitching. Add in the fact that they're in Chicago, add in the fact that obviously the Cubs offense is a monster. And on a slate where we spent probably far too long discussing Miles Michaelis last night, Matthew Boyd is an appealing option for many in this mid-range.
Have you seen the weather in that game?
Yeah, cold, 50 degrees, wind blowing in.
Yeah, and to cite Kevin Roth of Roto Grinders, he pointed out there are 96 examples of games with this type of weather in Wrigley Field, John.
Mm-hmm.
Home runs are decreased 34% in that ballpark with this type of weather.
Which is kind of interesting because 50 degrees isn't really like that cold. Like they played in games that were like 30s earlier this year. And in 5-mile-an-hour winds isn't generally all that impactful either. But it is kind of interesting to see that.
I mean, it just depends. Like we see different ballparks in the way that they're built are. Now you see it in Cleveland. They added the wind tunnels. The ball's traveling more. In San Francisco, no matter what the wind is, it never is impacted because of the construction of the stadium. It just depends on, and we see winds in Wrigley are dramatic when it's low versus when and if it's high, it's the best ballpark to hit in ever. It's better than Wrigley or better than Coors. So It's cold, there's slight winds, and there's no offense. So I like Matt Boyd a lot. 8,300. I will say he's had some luck on his side this year. It has a pretty high fly ball rate. 42% fly ball rate this year isn't great.
No,
but
his luck has also kind of gone away from him since he opened the season. Arizona, San Diego, LA, San Diego, LA. It's not really.
Is that tough? Or
that's not exactly. I mean, and he's come out of it with a 2.7 ERA.
Yeah.
So
4.4 xFIP 4.3 Sierra.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I almost expect that a little bit when you're facing the offenses that you faced.
Right.
Now, he did face Pittsburgh. Okay start, nothing to write home about. Only 83 pitches, went to 5 innings in that one, got a no decision. But this is also just a slate where it's like imperfections across the board, right?
Yes.
Where, Boyd has the advantage of Chicago being a big home favorite tonight, and the pricing there. Singer versus Atlanta. I mean, would you take a stab here? I get it. This Atlanta offense certainly can turn around, but Brady Singer's strung together some decent outings of late. He's got some nice strikeout upside at times. AJ Smith-Shawver on the other side, a talented kid, but kind of unproven. If you're looking to make a pivot from a very chalky Matthew Boyd, and actually upon this just refresh now, he's overtaken Cole Reagans as the highest rostered pitcher on the slate.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I'm kind of feeling maybe a pivot here to Brady Singer, who's getting less than 10% ownership in tournaments today.
Yeah, I mean, 27% strikeout rate, 28 to righties, 26 to lefties. Pretty good peripheral numbers, 3.6 ERA, 3.6 xFIP. The one thing that is tripping me up about Brady Singer, I was looking at earlier, John, what do you think of Brady Singer randomly becoming a 43% fly ball pitcher this year, who has always 50% ground ball, 50% ground ball, 50.
Do we know if he's changing his pitch mix at all?
We can look that up.
I mean, I know we have that data, but I mean, that may be a contributing factor. Maybe he's selling out for strikeouts more, so he's pitching up in the zone to get strikeouts versus down in the zone to get ground balls. I mean, could be a bunch of different things. It's also, it's a 6-start sample size. It's 30 innings, so maybe that evens out. But right, I mean, this is a guy with about a 50% career ground ball rate for the last 5 years. All of a sudden, seeing that dip. Ironically, more fly balls allowed, home run to fly ball rate, the lowest of his career. So
in the worst ballpark to ever do that,
pretty much
ever.
So Brady Singer to me kind of checks some boxes as a tournament pivot today, because again, the Atlanta offense has moments, but largely this year has been beatable. And like you said, 3.2 ERA, only a 3.6 expected ERA, a 3.6 xFIP. So all of his numbers are in line. Highest K per 9 of his career, 9% versus 38% today. You tell me, what would you rather take a shot
on? I would definitely rather take the low end Singer. Neither of them are my favorite. Ass is my favorite. And before you think I'm cursing, I'm not. It's the
I know.
Abbreviation. Yeah. AJ Smith-Shawver, ass.
Yeah.
To the Singer pitch mix point, okay?
Yes.
There is a significant development here.
Okay.
He no longer throws a changeup. Gone. Got rid of it. It's gone. He has never thrown a cutter until this year, and he is throwing it it's his third most used pitch, 13% of the time. He had never, ever thrown a cutter that has been tracked before this year.
And maybe that's where the strikeout uptick's coming in. I mean, there's been a lot of guys with a lot of success throwing cutters in their career. So
13% of the time from a straight zero goose egg every year of his career, dating back to 2020 until this year. Yeah. So, less sliders, more cutters.
So throwing more fastballs, just throwing harder.
Throwing harder.
Cutters and fastballs, right? Again, which would probably lead to more fly balls, right?
More fly balls, which, again, I don't like more fly balls. I want to point that out.
He's at least not in Cincinnati today.
I know you're not wrong. On to Cincinnati. I'm happy we're on to Atlanta and not Cincinnati, but he's never had a fly ball rate over 30%, and we're at 43 this year. I saw your eyes. I was looking at you when you were looking at the data, oh man, 30 to 43 is not great.
Bob. A big drop, but again, it made sense if you just throw more fastballs. Guys are hitting more fly balls. So I just from a pure ownership standpoint, on a medium-sized slate like this, where there's one top-end talent pitcher, maybe two, if you, depending on your views on Rodon, but Rodon and Pivetta are not in great spots to really bank on that. More people are playing Miles Mikolas today than they're playing Brady Singer, right? More people are playing Ronel Blanco against Milwaukee. So, and I get it. There's a big price difference in those guys. And you mentioned you like AJ Smith-Shawver. Cincinnati,
big ass guy tonight.
Yeah, another offense that has talent, but just so wildly inconsistent this year. He's been fine. Homers in 3 straight, but 2 of them came in Colorado and Tampa Bay. One's Coors, the other one is a minor league ballpark. You know, I get it, but they're this is kind of considered an even game if you look at the money line, so it could go either way.
Yeah, he is. For the record, this is not a perfect pitcher. I'm not like I will grant you that he has a strikeout arm that has done that at the minor league level. He's doing it again at the major league level this year. The walks are too high. The home runs have been too high. The only reason, obviously, he didn't pitch deep into a game, he got hit with a line drive last time out and had to come out in the 6th, or else could we have completed the game? It was like 50 pitches through almost 6 innings. So yeah, it's a guy who, some of the peripheral stuff looks pretty good. I would say I'm a little worried about the home run to fly ball rate. I've been a little worried about the fly ball stuff, since he made his debut a couple of years ago, but he just has so much swing and miss, and there's a lot of swing and miss at the top of this Reds lineup. I'll tell you that. So if we're in Atlanta, like away from Great American, just looking for a cheap play, because you and I dove into this next tier after him pretty extensively last night.
Yeah.
And I ceded a victory to you because I just, again, you're smart, and I'm not going to play Michaelis, but like it is very bleak. It is very bleak after Schauber.
Again, like over 10% of the field is just like, oh, Miles Michaelis. All right,
you're not checking your computer. You're just like exiting and like not checking your computer for like a couple hours.
Turning off all notifications. Like you don't want to know what's happening in this game.
The home run notification is off. There's no way you can keep that one on.
Yeah, I'll have to turn on. I got O'Neal Cruz. The last thing I need to see is
O'Neal your
Cruz
ESPN
home run noti.
Yeah, ESPN home run and stolen base noties off, John.
Yeah. The Schauber thing is a little interesting. Obviously, sample size is small here, 19 innings. Righties this year are doing a lot of damage. Again, small sample size, 40 batters faced. A 545 slug and a 440 WOBA. Not what you're looking for, but the Reds go pretty lefty heavy as well. So like there's that advantage. Still a 442 slugging allowed to lefties. Homers per 9. Again, we know the homers are a little bit of a problem. He does have a 30% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching, left-handed hitting. So, they have that advantage. Friedel, Ellie, Lux, like they're going to throw a bunch of lefties at him. But just something to, I guess, consider too. Some of the splits aren't great there.
You're right. You're right, by the way. But 385 BABIP. He has everything being hit in play.
It's finding the ground.
We're just finding the ground. Yeah.
All right. Where are you with Bryce Miller, Severino, Ronald Blanco, as I mentioned, getting some ownership? Obviously a bit more expensive for the Miller Severino plays. Anything to look at there?
No. I am actually completely on the other side of the Miller. I have way more interest in stacking A's than I do playing Bryce Miller, and we'll talk about some of the numbers when we get to the bats. But I just cannot believe that this game is receiving no respect in terms of over-under. It's dropped to 8.5. Remember when I asked you the question what the over-under was? It was 9 last night. It's 8.5. And I get like Bryce Miller in theory is a good pitcher, but take Bryce Miller out of Seattle and he's not a good pitcher. And that data tracks for the last 3 years. And Luis Severino, has historically been a pretty fly ball pitcher. He's not this year. It's actually, he's getting a lot of ground balls. He has not pitched well in his home ballpark this year. And that home ballpark has been the second best rated offensive juggernaut in baseball. And it's 80 degrees in Sacramento tonight. That is not good when it's 80 degrees in a small minor league facility. Like, I just don't believe in this game being are you betting it? Bet it, please. I hope you're live betting it, because 8.5. If I was in a state, I'd try to like. I'd max bet whatever the sports book were allowing me to, because we've done this. Good pitchers, not good pitchers.
It's almost always hit the 8.5 line. Like we pretty much always hit the over on the 8.5.
And the 8.5. That was what it was for the first like 2 series, right? It was 8.5.
Yeah.
So I do like that game environment quite a bit. And I'm going to play offense there.
Sure. I mean, the value down here, we talked a little bit about it. Shane Smith is obviously having a really good season. We've talked about Kansas City's offensive struggles until yesterday, pretty much. I don't know what you think of the White Sox offense having to go against Reagan's. Obviously, there's very, very, very little to know win equity here. But he has had 2 games up over 20 fantasy points. We have Ryan Nelson, who, initially when we made our example lineup, when we were talking about it, we were all in on dicking against Ryan Nelson. Now, he's been a reliever, so it's difficult, but he's kind of been a bulk inning reliever. He's had 2 very bad outings. They both came against the Cubs. He's given up 9 earned runs this year against the Cubs. He's given up 11 earned runs total on the season. K per 9's great because he's been throwing relief innings, so it's an over 10 K per 9. The xFIP, the expected ERA, all those numbers are like in the 2s.
Yep.
And Ryan Nelson was really good in the second half of last season. I was surprised. I said it on the previous show. I was surprised that he didn't end up pitching well this spring and well enough to win a job in their rotation. He's only getting this opportunity now because of Corbin Burns and his shoulder. But he faced the Mets in New York and threw 4 no-hit innings against them in the last outing. He's, threw 70 pitches almost there, so he's stretched out enough. Yeah, am I talking myself into some Ryan Nelson over Miles Michaelis today? Maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you should, because I think that there's just more strikeout upside. I mean, Miles Michaelis, we talked about it. He can't miss bats. Like it's virtually impossible unless. What was the start? The Phillies, where he just randomly had 6
strikeouts against Schwarber and Harper.
Will that happen again this year? Like I don't know. And you said it. It's not like Ryan Nelson has this elevated strikeout rate because he's been, a starter. As a starter, last year 20% strikeout rate, 15.5% the year prior, 23 as a rookie. So like. We see him as a starter similarly to Michaelis, but at least he is missing bats this year. I don't know if it's like
the second half of last season, he had a 3.2 ERA over 11 starts, 280 WOBA, 27% strikeout rate.
There you go. So he's carried it over. To this year.
Yep. 3.24 xFIP. So again, none of these numbers last year in the second half were fake. For him, and I have Michaelis up here, but I'm talking about Ryan Nelson. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, something clicked at some point in the second half of last year, and he was really good. I had him on my fantasy teams. I was like, all right, let's try some Ryan Nelson, and then obviously the numbers during the spring weren't great. He didn't win the rotation spot, but I think some people might be looking at the 5.8 ERA, and if they're not digging in a little deeper. And realizing the 5.8 ERA is a 2.1 FIP and a 2.5 xFIP, he's not facing the Cubs. Maybe there's some room here for Ryan Nelson today. And nobody, by the way, is playing Ryan Nelson. He is 1%. Only person, only Shane Smith is getting lower ownership.
I mean, I think there's a chance. I mean, we just don't know what the pitch count's going to be. I know he was like kind of stretched out last game.
Yeah, he got up to 68 pitches, so maybe he throws 75. Something like that. So, but he's been a starter his whole career. So there's got to be some build up muscle memory, to him, potentially being there. And I get it. It is the Mets. I'm not trying to downplay the opponent just because he just threw 4, no hit innings against them. The Mets obviously have a lot of scary bats. Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor. Not downplaying any of that, but we're on a slate where the options aren't great. You either eat the chalk or you try to get a little different here, and kind of go from there.
What about Griffin Canning? Anthony asks here, John. Number 1. Do you know what Arizona ranks in OPS this year against righties?
It's probably among the top.
Just guess a number. You're good at this.
What they rank?
Yeah, rank against right-handed pitching again in OPS.
Third.
First. You know what they rank in WOBA?
Gonna assume first.
Third. You know what they rank in? You know what they rank in ISO against right-handed pitching?
First.
Nailed it.
Got one.
So first, third in the three like major categories. Griffin Canning has been good. Salute to Griffin Canning for finding his, his mojo there. But there's been a historic data suggesting he struggles with lefties, and maybe he's figured out that part of it. But I ain't tempting it against the number one ranked offense against right-handed pitching this year. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, again, this is a dangerous lineup. It's just what it is. You're really playing with fire. If you're going up against Arizona, especially in Arizona, we had someone comment on the preview show. They get the roof open in Arizona in the summer. Balls fly. So
yeah.
All right, I got nothing else really to mention here. Is there anything else you wanted to highlight?
I thought I had another comment. Oh no, I threw up in my mouth when I saw BVP comment. So we can move on.
We got BVP comments in the group here.
Yeah, we did.
A tired Mets squad that played 2 games yesterday. Oh, maybe.
Juan Soto looked really tired after his 3rd home run was robbed.
Maybe they're professional baseball players. They're not like, it's not a football game here. All right, catcher. Yeah, we said we would figure out if there's any open value up. We do have Salvi back in the lineup at 4K for hitting 4th. I like that against Shane Smith, even though he's pitched well. Yonder Diaz, $3,300, looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, both of them look pretty good. The Tobias Myers thing is obviously a big question mark because he's a better pitcher than how he's pitched to start his year. And Diaz is a better hitter than how he started his year. So, what gives here? Obviously, circling back to Cal Raleigh, he's probably the guy to play at the top of this list. You're factoring in one of the best home run environments on the board, the best home run hitting catcher on the board. So other than Salvi at 4K, which I agree with, and Diaz hitting 5th in the Astros lineup, I have a hard time if I can't find a way to get if I can find a way to get to Cal Raleigh, I like to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, right? Like the ballpark, everything about it here. I know we had a comment on the wind blowing in is why the total went down. I don't know, maybe.
Also like to that point, I was looking at it as well. That game starts at 10 when the wind starts to dissipate. So like the 15-mile-an-hour winds is 8 p.m., 9 p.m. The game starts at 10 p.m. and then it drops to 10 miles per hour. And also if we're playing lefties, it might be a little more impactful ball traveling to left field, but if it's blowing in left to right, we're playing lefties here. The ball going out to right field, is definitely better. So I definitely am not overly concerned with the wind blowing in from left to right here, especially when it comes to like the lefty bats.
Yep. I'm good with that. All right, let's go to first base here.
Freddie Fermin, 2,300 as well.
Yeah.
He's in the lineup.
I agree. And you mentioned Cam Busano, so like you got a 2K punt against lefties. All right, first base. Spending up. You got the Cubs. Michael Busch, $5,100. He can clean up. If you're not a Canning guy, you have Naylor hitting cleanup there as well. Pavin Smith hitting 3rd. Some power hitters there.
The Landon Roop stuff is incredibly weird because he has a 33% strikeout rate against righties, and yet righties have a 233 ISO against him. Lefties have a 0.000 ISO against Roop. So I don't know what to make of the Cubs today. I know they're an elite offense and they can do great things, but I don't like the weather. I don't love the matchup against the pitcher because he's specifically good against lefties. So if the Cubs go off and I lose, so be it. You could definitely play Alonso. He's great. Matt Olson definitely could take advantage of Brady Singer and the fly ball rate. But I don't have a lot of other interest above 4K. It's like Olson and Alonso really for me overall.
Okay. Mid-tier. Thoughts to build some lineups around here. Goldschmidt, $4,100. Spear sitting fifth.
I don't. It's not like a great position in the mid tier. I prefer like this cheaper. You mentioned Salvi. You could play Salvi. Christian Walker hitting fourth with Jordan placed on the IL. Don't hate Spencer Steer for sure. You mentioned the Smith-Shawver struggles against righties.
Yeah,
that's been real. Wilson Contreras has been awesome lately. Had a big day in the doubleheader, but he's just been good in general. We kind of figured he wasn't too terrible, or that terrible. Same thing with Pasquantino. He's been awesome lately. A lot of power, 4 home runs in his last 8 games.
Yeah, Price actually went down.
Price went down.
Back-to-back games at a homer. So.
Price went down. Burleson hitting second. We were wondering what they would do with their lineup with Mason Wynn. With Mason Wynn out. He is hitting second a day after he hit his first home run off. So he's off the goose egg schneid. But 2,800 Cardinals look, everyone's playing Kansas City, right? That's I feel like that we're just regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again. Like the cheap stack of the day, the Kansas City Royals, who have been better. Also, counter argument, they're still, and I was looking this up, I was like, man, the Royals have been much better. Let me look at, and they're so chalky. 24th in OPS, 24th in ISO, 24th again in WOBA against right-handed pitching. They're still bad. That's still bad. That's still in the bad column. So why not, especially if you're multi-entering or MME, get more Cardinals as a cheap stack versus get Royals, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't play the Royals. Shane Smith's been pretty good pitcher.
But he's been good, yeah.
So,
is to play everything against Chicago, but Shane Smith's been good. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'm just offering an alternative to Vinny Pasquantino is $3,100. He's a good play. But the alternative to Pasquantino is Burleson, multi-position eligible, 2,800. He's cheaper, and the cards in general are just lower owned. So that would be a pivot I would do if I'm looking for an alt stack versus just being I'm just going to click the Royals because everyone else is clicking the Royals today.
Yeah, I hear you. Travis says Jake Irvin found something for a couple days. Can we go back to him today? His numbers against lefties are really bad. Yeah. Jake Irvin. Go check out his splits there, Travis, against lefties. I wouldn't necessarily trust going back to that. I know that lineup in Cleveland hasn't been great this year, but Manzardo's coming around. Kwan's obviously really good. Jose Ramirez will hit from the left side of the plate. I think it's over a 500 slugging against left-handed pitching, hitting rather. It's pretty bad for Jake Irvin this year against Southpaws. So I'd be nervous trusting Jake Irvin here today.
Yeah, 264 ISO, 274 expected ISO. Also, I would throw Nick Kurtz out there. I know he's been bad-ish, or at least we haven't seen the power. He's actually been a little better lately. Starting to get things turned around, and he's obviously super elite talent prospect. And we'll get to the Bryce Miller stuff in a few.
Sure. All right, second base.
Worst position on the board. This position sucks. Awful position.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we kind of just went Donovan on the preview show, I think. So Donovan's still kind of where I want to go, but you have Marte all the way at the top. You mentioned if you want to go Milwaukee, Terang's there. But I don't really have a lot of other interests. We might have gotten McNeil, but I'm feeling like maybe I'm a little bit more on Nelson now. So there's that question. We did have do we think Rivas starts?
Probably. Switch hitter, probably.
At this point, you want to get exposure to that game, even though it's the other side you want more A's than Seattle. I would, at this spot, I'd still be willing to go there if he's in the lineup.
Yeah, so would I. We also just got Milwaukee lineup, no Terang.
No Terang, okay.
Just now, just happened. They're hitting Collins second again, by the way, which okay. is a lineup choice. It's Donovan for me. Donovan for me. You can play. Yeah. People are getting to McLean. A lot of people were earlier getting to McLean. Still pretty popular. It is the correct split too, at least for Smith-Shawver, to attack Smith-Shawver, right? We were talking about that earlier. The righties have given him more problems, so I know he's been bad. I know it's not fun.
120 averages last 10.
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, 160 it's just not fun.
The price is at least coming down.
The price is coming down. He has speed. If he gets on, he's going. So do I prefer Donovan? Yes. It's easier to play Donovan because he has the second base outfield. Apparently, every Cardinal is just going to get outfield eligibility too.
Yeah. Anything else here?
Yeah, Luis. Do we get the Mets lineup? Luis Angel, if he's in the lineup. I see Jeff McNeil getting a bunch of ownership. That's a price thing, and that's I don't know who to play at second base thing as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think this is what we did during the preview show. If I think about it more now.
Yeah, it's one of the Mets.
Yeah,
one of the Mets.
You commented that you thought that we could see Yorbit Vivas here, right? So
Jorbit Bebas.
There you go.
Bebas. Yeah, like
the letters that don't sound like the letters that they read.
Like Carmen Majinski.
Sure.
Right? Starting pitcher for the Pirates. Right? Yeah. Maginski. Yeah, Vivas is okay. The problem is we actually have a Yankees lineup. I don't think he's playing. Okay. We got the Yankees. Yeah, he is hitting ninth.
Yeah, he's hitting ninth. He's got his little logo here.
Hitting ninth. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have. Yes, I do. Hitting ninth, playing second. He's fine. The rain. You'll see more people go for $100 more to Michael Massey, who finally did something yesterday.
Well, everybody did on Kansas City.
Sure. All
right, let's go to third.
Opposition gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. Where do you want to go, I guess, at third base? Obviously, Austin Riley, Machado, Suarez, your top three, but, I'm looking to probably play Singer today.
Polanco.
Machado versus Rodon, I guess.
Polanco would be the first guy I'd get to.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. $4,400 still hitting.
Dude, he's a 100th percentile in expected WOBA, expected batting average, expected slug. 100th percentile in all three of those categories.
Mm-hmm.
Batting average, WOBA, slug. 100th. There's nothing better than 100th percentile. That is literally the best anyone can possibly be.
Sure. Arenado sitting clean up there. If you wanted to really go against the chalk, you just play some San Francisco today.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Wilmer hitting fifth. Guy who has historically hit lefties really well.
Chapman too.
$4,100.
Chapman too.
Michael Garcia's been awesome, but again, we acknowledge that Shane Smith's been pretty good on the mound, but he's 3,800 double dong yesterday, Michael Garcia. Vientos, as you've commented, starting to heat up. But again, if you think Ryan Nelson's for real, you may want to avoid that spot there. What else are you potentially looking to play?
India chalk is mainly because he's leading off at such a cheap price tag and he's like turning it around. I don't mind Jonathan India either. Like 2,900 third base outfielder leading off on a slate that has a like really high priced pitcher that everyone's going to. India really helps you get things we want. Ryan, I don't like the Cubs as much as John probably likes them more because he's likes the Cubs, but I'm not going to play.
It was only a 5% run decrease. So you're really only worried about the homers here. So
yeah, but you need the home runs on DraftKings.
this is a different Cubs team. They got Kyle Tucker now. You don't know. A lot of differences. I'm not going to shy away from a team that's a really good offensive team, regardless of whether they're
Landon Roop 0% ISO against lefties.
Yeah. Well, okay.
0.36 expected ISO.
Sure. We'll see. See what happens. If the Cubbies don't score, then I lose, I guess. I'll take the chances that a really, really good offense continues to hit the ball well. Anything else at third for you?
I don't think we need to drop below India.
All right. Shortstop. Ellie De La Cruz, Bobby Witt Jr., Francisco Lindor, Anthony Volpe, your top 4. You can play Polanco here as well. Looking to spend up at this position today?
Definitely can. All very good at baseball. They are. I have no issues getting to any. Volpe is clearly 4th on this list, but no issues getting to any of them.
Got an A's lineup here. Butler leading off, Rooker, Soderstrom, Andujar, Langoliers, Blade, Wilson, Kurtz.
Andujar. So no Blade.
No, Blade's in center. Wilson's at short. Kurtz, Urias.
What are we missing here? Are we missing something in this lineup? Do they just move it around?
They just move it around. Got Andujar hitting 4th today.
It's interesting. He's been really good.
Yeah. Third base. What's his price?
No, outfield.
Outfield. Oh, he's third base he's playing third base for them today.
Andujar's playing third base today?
Yeah.
Holy cow, what a blast from the past. That's what he came up as a Yankee. And he was not good there. So good luck to they're not playing Rooker in the outfield, but they have Soderstrom in left. They have Andujar at third, but they're really trying anything, I guess.
Well, gotta figure it out, right? All right, so that's your top group. Again, I agree with you can play all of them. The Mets are actually the highest implied run total, which again I think is interesting if you think that Ryan Nelson is actually good and maybe not bad. I hate that they moved Jacob Wilson all the way down the lineup.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate spot. Perdomo's hitting 9th today as well.
Like 4 hits yesterday. Here's the 9 hole, buddy.
Yeah. Dansby's getting a little hot. You mentioned the rope numbers there. Maybe a spot for Dansby Swanson, but he's in 8th. I don't know. What do you think here?
Adames is too cheap. I know we get the lefty, but he's too cheap. He's a very streaky player, 3,800. The Dansby call is good. Roop is bad against righties, but it's not another. It's a very shallow position. JP Crawford, JP Crawford, 3,400.
Sure.
Looks really good. If he's going to lead off, we haven't gotten the Mariners lineup yet, but he's been excellent. And some people lost out on a bid in certain leagues by $1, so that was tough to see. But you know what? We can play him in DFS, and he can make it up there.
Sure. Outfield. Again, a lot of talent. Kind of pick your stack and move along. I do like O'Neal Cruz today against Miles Michaelis at 59, Corbin Carroll, Tatis. If you're anti-Tucker today, we'll see how that goes. Judge 65. What's your number one? You've kind of said it a few times. You're more in on the A's today than you are Seattle. Yeah. So you're liking Rooker Butler 1-2 today?
Yeah. I really like the lefties specifically. So it's hard. Brent Rooker has been really unlucky. You look at all the stuff he's had, he has elite stuff that's just it's baseball season, But since 2023, which is Bryce Miller's debut, on the road, we talk about Bryce Miller repeatedly. Oh, good pitcher. Not a good pitcher outside of Seattle at all. Since 2023, 2 home runs per 9 innings, 29% ground ball rate, 52% fly ball rate, 5.67 xFIP, 77 inning sample is something obviously, but we are taking him out of Seattle and putting him in an elite hitting environment. in hot weather. He is going to fail. And the only reason I'm invested in Oakland today is because not the only reason, but that, and they're not being rostered at all. Like nobody's playing. Yeah. I shouldn't even say Oakland because they're not. The A's. No one's playing the A's today. So like specifically, I like the lefties. So Butler, they're hitting Soderstrom third. I hate that we lost the Soderstrom first base eligibility, but I get it because he's only playing the outfield right now. But like, we should then revisit like why Shohei have first base. Like at least Soderstrom spent half the year at first base this year. Shohei has outfield first, and he hasn't played any of those positions in 2 years. I digress, but yeah, I like Butler. I like Soderstrom. I'm not like you can always play Kyle Tucker. You can always play Judge. You can always play like any of these dudes. I'm just not going all the way up. I'm just living in like the A's, the low 5K range. Love Soto. Soderstrom, you keep dropping below. Like, so there's a lot of options right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, work your way down, I guess, is my question. We mentioned some of these guys maybe being a bit too, maybe a bit cheaper than they should be. You know, Ozuna was a guy that we had called out. Nimmo, Hap, some guys in this range. Victor Scott's $4,200. Elio Ramos is $4K. What do we think as we work our way down this list?
Yeah, we just had the comment from Joe. Do you like Elio Ramos as a one-off? I do. That guy, it looks like freaking prime Barry Bonds when he's facing a lefty. Specifically, like he's a good player, but like lefties, so there's something that he just sees meatballs from lefties. So yeah, I would play him as a one-off. It's interesting because John said it all show. Like Matt Boyd's the highest roster pitcher of the day. There is something to be said when a pitcher. It's not like this is not prime Jacob deGrom, right? No, and he's the highest. Yeah, it's Matt Boyd who wasn't on the team until like the last month of the year last year. Yep. Cleveland picked him up and was like, he was good, but he wasn't on a team. I know there was like Tommy John and all that stuff, but like, like not on a team. And then, so yeah, if you want to play like good players against a guy that's really popular, then yeah, I think that's a very interesting San Francisco as a stack or Ramos as a one-off in general.
Yeah, he had insane numbers last year. Obviously, a 750 slugging and a 380 ISO are just absurd. It's still a 200 ISO this year and a 450 slug. So yes, it's come down, but it's still good. So not really afraid to go the Ramos play. You have Grisham leading off against Pivetta. Obviously he's been great. Aaron Judge hitting behind him. He gets a lot of pitches to hit. Again, Brian Reynolds, I think, is too cheap at $3,900. Yes. If you're playing some Pittsburgh today, you can go in that direction. Are you playing Bleday at $3,600?
I am.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to. I know I want the left.
They're just all in. Everyone's on the table. Andy Har's 35 here,
so. And he's hitting. He's hitting third, fourth. Yeah. What was it? Yeah. Fourth. Yep. I mean, I'm gonna have to revisit the lineup construction because like they moved their lineup around a bunch and like. Bleday is now hitting 7th, or 6th. So like that was a little change. I thought they would hit him up probably 5th and I'd correlate a little better, but yeah, I'm all in on that. And I'm not like, we didn't really talk Seattle. I'm not overlooking Seattle in this spot because we've seen the Severino split. So like 49-48 for J-Rod and Arozarena respectively. I'd play them as well. I just think that there's, you're always looking for leverage in tournaments, right? And in the same exact game environment against a pitcher that struggles mightily on the road, nobody's playing that one side of the game.
Right. All right. What's the bottom value for you today?
Obligatory Cam Smith shout. Now that's out of the way, I don't think there's anything that like is reinventing the wheel. You could play Jonathan India here. You could play Alec Burleson here. I think both are excellent like sub 3K plays. Yeah. Luis Matos at 2,700 looks pretty good. We just had a DeZenzo question from Cam. I think he looks fine. You also have the Myers versus Myers v. Myers matchup. Yeah. Jake Myers looked like Aaron Judge the other day. He's a little more expensive, but if you want to play that, you can.
Sure. I don't think we don't really need to go much else. I mean,
there was who's the kid on the Mariners? Thomas, Ryland Thomas, the prospect. If he's in the lineup, I'd consider him as well.
Okay. All right, let's build. Starting with Reagan's, and I guess the $1 billion question today is, who is your SP2?
I mean, I told you I'm all in on ass, but like I'm gonna just default to you because I know you want to punt one of these pitchers.
No, I mean, if we need the money, we can punt down. But I don't think there's a perfect answer to the value. I actually said I'd almost rather just play the other guy in this game, but that's a double spend. We need to find the money to make it work.
St. Louis or Kansas City right off the bat would be probably like
would have to be the way you'd go with it. Like Wilson or who's their catcher?
For me,
probably right.
Or for me,
For me, it's a straight punt, right? 23 and first base.
Either Burleson, Paz, or we punt India at second or the outfield. You can honestly play Burleson and Pasquantino because Burleson's
Burleson in the outfield.
Yeah, you could.
Third base we had Polanco. Was that?
Yeah, plug and play.
All right. And then Crawford.
Yep.
And now 3 outfielders at $4,500. I mean, very doable here.
You can technically probably get to like anybody you want here because we can play. We have the India.
You see like the lefties versus Miller, so Butler.
Yeah, it's lefty. It's lefties for sure.
You like a Soderstrom Butler 2-man?
Yeah, I'd love that.
That's a 4K outfielder to finish it off, which would one off Ramos. Just one off the man against
Shout out to Joe Whalen. One off Ramos. There you go, right there. There's your one off Ramos.
I also like Victor Scott Warren. I think Victor Scott is poised to have a really breakout season. So maybe today he's been hot. Maybe he keeps it going. But if you're looking to spend up, Reagan's Singer again. The Singer play for those who maybe are just tuning in now. No one's on him. He's under 10%. And all of his numbers look really good. And we know that Atlanta's had some troubles this year being consistent offensively. So Guardians Nationals are in a rain delay to begin the game for Travis, who was asking about that game. Reagan, Singer, Fermin, Burleson, Donovan, Polanco, Crawford, Soderstrom, Butler, Ramos. So we have 3-2 stacks, St. Louis, Seattle, and the Athletics. We have a game stack of that Seattle Athletics game. Then one-offs of Ramos and Fermin with Reagan's and Singer. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. We'll have the preview show tonight for the Tuesday, a big slate on Tuesday. We'll get you ready for that. Until then, everybody, talk to you later.